If you ever look at statistics, you will see that the American population is getting increasingly larger. Why is that? I think food documentaries are partially to blame, and I'm going to tell you why in this video.
Let's go.
Hi, welcome, Coach Tonya with Critical Bench. And I'm probably going to be, I don't know, maybe a little bit controversial. I'm sticking my neck out here in giving my opinion about I'll call it the overweight obesity epidemic in the country. And despite the fact that we live in a world where we know a lot about health and nutrition and exercise, there's a lot of great options and means by which a person can take really good care of themselves, yet it seems that when it comes to being overweight and obese, the numbers continue to go up, because they're certainly not going down as much as one would think, considering what we know today. And why are we getting bigger? Why are we getting more sedentary? Why are we carrying around more body fat? What's the problem? Well, I think food documentaries have a lot to do with it. And yes, obviously we are responsible for our own actions. We're responsible for the choices that we make, what we eat, what we don't eat, what we do not do. But I also think we are spectators for an industry that has a massive reach, and their influence can drive us into certain lifestyles or choices or ways of doing things without us really knowing the bottom line or really knowing all the information. And there is no shortage of food documentaries out there promoting this diet, this herb, that herb. I mean, there is a cure for everything, apparently. So I've got my notes. Sorry folks, I cannot remember. The amount of research I read, my ability to remember numbers, and especially long, big words exactly, is just, it's not good. So I rely on my notes. So I don't care what you do in terms of what diet you want to eat, because anything you're eating right now, that's your diet. So stick a label on it and tell people all about it and how wonderful it is, how great it's making you feel, how you're a rock star, how you're losing weight, how you've got endless stamina and endurance, okay? Just call it something. And that's a very sarcastic explanation or analogy in terms of all the diets out there, and just how staunch some people can get in terms of this is the way it has to be. This is how, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be thin, if you want to be attractive, if you want to be liked, if you want to be popular, if you want to lose all that body fat, this is what you have to do. Well, here's what I have to say about that. You really should only be doing what is working for you. Okay? So if you feel full or satisfied during the day, you're not having these massive cravings and these sugar crashes and all of that. If you're feeling well, if you're resting well, you wake up feeling rested, you have plenty of energy to get through your day. You can get through your workouts, you can get through your workday, you can meet all the other demands. You're managing your stress relatively well most of the time, and you're not either consistently putting on excess weight or having the inability to lose it. You're probably doing a lot of what's really good for you. Yes, there's outliers to that. I know people that have terrible lifestyle habits that are super thin, and it seems like they're running full steam ahead and have nothing but energy, but it's not really the case. The bottom line is, if you feel really good, if you're in really good health, nice clear skin, clear thoughts, sleeping well, lots of energy, you're probably eating in a way that actually helps fuel and help your body to fuel itself and to repair and to grow and to meet all the demands of your day. Doesn't mean there's going to be days where you just can't. I have them all the time. You're too tired, can't get out of bed, just don't have the energy to get through the workout. We have those days, but I am talking on, the big picture outlook. Now, jumping from diet to diet or fad to fad or trend to trend can leave you in a yo-yo weight gain, weight loss situation where ultimately, when you look at, again, you step back and look at the big picture in the yo-yoing, there's a lot more going up, and a lot of times somebody that gets caught into that spiral tends to just continue to keep gaining weight regardless. They may have periods of time that they go through where they're actually losing weight, but if you're jumping from one diet to the next or one fad to the next, you're not able to be consistent because you're looking for that one quick fix. I can almost guarantee you that what is going to happen is you're going to just end up gaining the weight that you did lose, plus a whole lot more, till you jump to the next thing and repeat the cycle, gaining even more. So what do we do? Well, food documentaries definitely have their place. They definitely have their place. I think information is fantastic. I think what we do with information is incredibly important and powerful for our own well-being. So when you are watching a food documentary, if something sounds too good to be true, then look further into it. One of the things you can do to help yourself is to learn how to read research. It's a lot more fun than it sounds. Or is that just me? Maybe it's just me. Research can be inundated with all kinds of charts and graphs and numbers and formulas, and they can be pages and pages and pages long. But there's a few key things that if you look at them, can help you to sort of get through it and get some answers from it. But there's a few things that you do want to pay attention to, because not all research journals and papers published are equal, in my opinion, in terms of the value of information they're sharing. Yes, they may have done an experiment, they may have collected data, and they may have written a paper on it, but what all went on? Was it just one study? Was it sponsored by a food company or somebody else? So there's a lot of background stuff you may not know. But here's a few tips that can make it easier for just about anybody to get through a research paper or some science. So one thing is you want to be looking at meta-analysis. So if you are considering going vegan, or you want to try keto or something, and you actually think, well, I want to actually look at what's being studied and is it true? Are people on keto healthier? Are they able to lose weight and keep it off? So you decide you're going to go to the NCBI website and start looking into that. Look for things that are meta-analysis, because a meta-analysis is basically a study that combines results of multiple studies in an effort to get a more clear, truthful picture. Okay, so instead of just looking at one or looking at a few, a meta-analysis takes a whole bunch of them, and then there's a whole filtering, kind of weeding out process to narrow it down so that they have the highest, well, just to put it simply, the highest quality of studies involved to really narrow down the answers and the research. And it's supposed to help, the idea is to really minimize and reduce drastically the uncertainty where reports and studies may disagree. You also want to look at, is it a double-blind study? And that means that the participants as well as the researchers don't know who's getting what. So it removes any bias, okay? Very good thing to look for. The other thing you want to take into account is, was there a placebo involved? And a placebo is basically a way to rule out a participant's expectation versus what the drug or medicine is actually capable of doing. So if you and I are both involved in a study and I'm getting medication, let's say I'm getting a pill, we're testing the effectiveness of some kind of pill, say for blood pressure, but you're just getting like a sugar pill, okay? If you believe that you're getting the drug, your results may be different because of your actual expectation. What you tell researchers or what you think you're feeling might not actually be truthful because it's based more on your expectation. So placebos, you don't know you're getting a placebo, so you're just, it helps to remove some bias, okay? So to give an actual real example, I pulled up a research study. I picked a topic that everybody's gonna love, dairy and cancer, because it seems to be a thing always. So what I did was I made some short notes, pages and pages long, but for an example, okay, how to sort of pick a piece, a research, a study for yourself, okay? So the topic was dairy and cancer. And it was a meta-analysis looking at the association of the intake of teens taking dairy products and cancer mortality risk. So, okay, that's what they're looking at. Then continuing to read, very specifically, it says that it was using milks, yogurt, cheese, butter, and fermented dairy. That was it. Ice cream was not included. Other dairy things were not included. Very specifically, these foods were what were used. Now, the meta-analysis was, it involved 11 studies total, so 11 separate studies, and the amount of individuals in all of those 11 studies was 778,929. That's a lot of people. Now, it started with, what they did was initially, just to show you how a meta-analysis breaks it down to really narrow down and get some very clear answers. there was initially 1,031 publications. In PubMed, 1,625 in Embase, okay? 172 studies were completely removed from the meta-analysis because they were duplicate studies. So there was no point. They were duplicates, so they were taken out. And another 2,462 after carefully reviewing the abstracts and the titles. So that left 22 studies to be part of the meta-analysis. So when you think of that, if you were looking at any one of those thousands of studies and decided that that was the right one, maybe you didn't get as clear an answer as you could have if you'd found this meta-analysis, all right? So now we're left with 11 research studies to be included in the meta-analysis looking at this topic. So spoiler alert, there was 22, but 11 were removed because they did not have sufficient data. Didn't have sufficient data. That's pretty important. If you're wanting to find out if there is in fact some connection or some link, some correlation, some association between teen dairy products intake and cancer mortality risk, you want to have sufficient data. You do. So when we got down to the 22, 11 were removed for insufficient data, which left 11. So 11 valid studies to review as part of the meta-analysis. And what the results was that total dairy products have no significant impact on increased all cancer mortality risk. So there you go. Now, again, your opinion may be, I don't agree with it, I don't eat dairy. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What I'm getting at is that if you do like your food documentaries, you like to watch them, and I do too. I like to watch them, even the ones I disagree with. They're entertaining and they are informative. My concern, or I guess my problem or my beef, is that when a food documentary is presented as real science and they're actually not providing all the real science. I would be much happier if somebody did a food documentary and said, this is how I feel, or these are our beliefs, these are our opinions, and we're going to show you some research that does back it up. However, there is also other research that shows opposite, but these are the reasons we do this. This is why we think it's a good thing. This is why we want to teach it and share it, and here's how we've come to these conclusions. I don't have a problem with that. What I don't like is when it's sold as factual science, but as you can tell, when real investigative scientific research is done to come up with, to really narrow things down to share then with the public as accurate as information as possible, it's not just as simple as doing one or a handful or even a couple thousand studies. As you can see, thousands and thousands of studies done, and then to actually get what these researchers believed was the best information, the best results. There was a lot of stuff that went on that excluded and eliminated a lot of these other studies for various reasons, and that's something that has to be taken into account. So, are food documentaries really making America fat? Well, maybe not technically, but are they actually helping? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's in our best interest, if you enjoy them, to watch them. I think it's in our best interest to do our own investigation, or at least talk to somebody or people that understand research better to find out more. It's really easy to find this stuff yourself. And at the end of the day, I think if you are doing things and making choices that allow you to feel the very best you can, I think what you're doing is probably working really well for you. And if it isn't broken, why do you need to fix it? If what you're doing isn't working, I have mad respect and I applaud your efforts to make changes, but be very smart. Okay, if you're going to start making changes because you want to lose weight and be healthier and feel better, remember you've got to be consistent. Jumping from one fad to the next is going to do nothing except leave you feeling probably worse, very exhausted, and with little money left over. And that's my opinion. Before you go, I want you to check out something. In the pinned comment below is a free report. It's called How to Tame Appetites and Cravings. And this is some really good, useful tools that you can use to help yourself. If you find that you've got these peaks and valleys in the day where you're crushing and you're feeling tired, it's something that can help you strategically better plan to avoid those peaks and valleys in sugar peaks, sugar spikes. Yeah, you want to check it out. So check that pinned comment below because that's a free report. Enter your email. Boom, you've got it. Some great information, very useful, user-friendly information for you. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and I hope to be talking to you real soon. I'm Coach Tonya with Critical Bench. Take care.